Hey everyone, I'm CamelCoder, and this is the first recap of this project. So this was week one, and it was a good week. It was a very hot week. It's 30 degrees here right now, and I don't have AC. I don't even have a fan at the moment. I'm gonna get a fan, um, and it's kind of warm, but we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. Those might just be rookie numbers for you people in warmer climates, but for us, it's a little bit unusual. So let's see, what have we been up to this week? Let's move this here. There we go. So here's the overview of the time entries for each day for coding. So the target was 15 hours, and we hit 16 and a half hours, so I'm very happy with that. Especially considering that we had midsummer this week, and I had a lot of social engagements this week. So this is midsummer, midsummer even midsummer's day. So just meeting people all day, family and friends and stuff like that. So no coding possible there. But I'm very happy with the time investment. So it's not just about putting in the time, it's also about being effective and actually doing stuff. So what have we been learning? So I'm still kind of doing the basics of JavaScript, kind of getting into how types work in JavaScript, with it being what was the word, dynamically typed language. So, which is interesting. There's a lot of conversions between variable types on the fly that are kind of done under the hood. So, for example, if you have a string and you run a certain function over that, then it will convert that string to an object and stuff like that to be able to perform that function. And I learned about not a number, which is the weirdest thing ever, the NaN in JavaScript, which if you could do the type of command to see types of different things. So if you do type of not a number, it's a number. But it's a very bad name because not a number, it doesn't mean that it's not a number. It means that it can't be numerically represented in JavaScript. So there are numbers that would return none because they can't be correctly represented in JavaScript. So that was weird, and I've been getting into objects. Objects are very interesting. And before this, I've kind of, all the coding that I've known has only been procedural. So working with objects really kind of blew my mind. It was really interesting to learn about that. So this week I've been working on following a tutorial in Headfirst JavaScript for a battleship game. The finished product looks like this. I just finished this today, so it's kind of cheating because today is the week after, but it's fine. So the graphical assets are of course just imported. I didn't make this myself. But the thing about objects is that how this is structured, this code, is we've got three objects. So we've got three main objects. So let's see if we can bring up let's see here. There we go. Okay. So we've got the view object, and that handles representing the visuals of the game. And so whenever there's an update in state, this object gets called to update it visually to the user as well. And then there's the model object, and that's basically what keeps track of the game state and you've got lots of behavior in there as well, so lots of methods. And we've got the controller object. And this takes the guesses, processes them, keeps track of guesses, determines when the game is over. So this basically handles the input. And this was a really interesting experience. So let's see here. So some of the things that I've also been doing this week is working with manipulating strings in JavaScript and done lots of exercises regarding those. But one thing that I didn't learn yet is regedit, or what's it called? Not regedit, regex, regular expressions. So because I don't know regular expressions yet, then it means that a lot of these exercises turn out to be more verbose than they would otherwise have to be. So I'm gonna, even though it was really fun doing the exercises on W3 school, I'm gonna hold off on those until I've learned regex, which I will do soon, maybe this week or the week after, and then I will revisit those again and kind of use regex for them instead. So regarding how my thinking was more kind of one-dimensional before, one thing that I thought was really interesting in this, how they chose to do it in this game was, let's see here. Let's open up the battleship. How do we do this? We do it like that. Okay. So you've got the coordinate system for this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then a number. But how it's represented in the code, I need to make a hotkey to switch between these. Let's see here. This is not the correct one. This is the correct HTML file. Here we go. Okay, so they're not represented by this letter A, B, C, D. They're represented by 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. That makes things a lot simpler than having to handle the letters. But of course, if we have it this way, the user input is in, let's switch back again. The user input is in, you write A0 or E5 and stuff like that. So we need to convert that letter to a number, right? To the corresponding number. So A0, B1, and so on. So how I would have done it, I would have probably just made a lot of if statements. So we split up the variable like A2 into two variables. So we've got A and 2 by using the index of the location in the string. And then if A, then change the variable to 0. If B, then change it to 1, and so on. That's what was my first intuitive solution. But actually how they did it here is that they made an array called alphabet and then put each of these letters here. And then they do a character at, or index of, sorry, that's the one. So they do, so when we've got the letter separated out from the string, then what's the index position of that letter in this array? And of course, this perfectly corresponds to like A0, B1, C2, and stuff like that. So then we have the conversion built in there. And I thought that was a really cool solution, how they did that. I would not have, that would not have been the first thing that came to my mind. So let's see here. Let's switch back. Close that one. So how this plays out, it's just actually, well, let's open the developer thing here and do model.ships. We can kind of cheat here to see where they're located. So they're at 26, so that's C6, D6, E6. And then you get a message here, you sunk my battleship. And then if you make a lowercase one, it will convert it to an uppercase guess. And if you make an invalid guess, then that's either too long or doesn't compute, then it will parse that and handle it correctly. So you can't crash the game as far as I've seen so far. So let's do C0, D0, E0, B1, B2. Oh, right. This was vertical and horizontal. So it's C1 and D1. There we go. You sank all my battleship in 12 guesses. So it records how many guesses you've done. And it's also random, the placement of this. And it's also random whether the ships will be horizontal or vertical. And there's also collision detection, so it cannot spawn ships on top of each other, which is a really neat thing. So I'm using toggle to track here. I'm still tracking right now. So when I'm creating content, I also count this as coding because otherwise this would be hard to fit in. But this is like, it's gonna take like 40 minutes to record anyway, so that's fine. Let's see, what else do we have? And yes, how it works is this is just an image, and then we have an invisible HTML table on top of this. And then, of course, each cell has a different ID. And then how we represent hits and misses is that we add either a hit class or a miss class to each of these cells. So that's taken care of by the view object. There we go. So let's see here. Was there anything else I wanted to mention? Oh yeah, we also did it was kind of premature because I did this before the Battleship game. Programming, head first, experiment by building games, memory games. Here, we also followed a tutorial to build this game. We did this before the head first stuff. So this is a memory game that, yeah, how you would expect that a memory game would work. You found a match and then those changed. So it's really a simple one. But this one I dove in before any event handling or any DOM manipulation stuff was before I'd reached that chapter in the book. So this was super confusing. So I understand it much better now after I've done that chapter on the book. So I kind of jumping into this was kind of jumping into the deep end. So I was when she was describing the next step and stuff like that, I was just like, whoa, hold up! I have no idea what any of that means. So I had to pause the video for like 20 minutes just to read up on that one line of code. So maybe that was not optimal. One thing that's a little bit suboptimal with the head first stuff right now is that how people handle events and stuff like that, how they handle key presses. It seems to have changed compared to when this book came out, what the standard thing is. So, for example, when I try to copy some code from the regarding handling key presses from head first, the VS Code warned me that this is deprecated using these specific words. So I had to look up how they do it nowadays. So maybe I'm not gonna skip these chapters completely. It's still good to know how they did things before, but I'm not gonna pay as much attention to. I'm not gonna. I know for a fact that okay, this is not the correct way. This was how they did it in 2014, and it's good to know it so that when you see it in the future, you'll know what it means. But don't build using it. Instead, build using the new stuff. So the fact that it was deprecated, it caused me so many problems when I was building the Battleship game, but it worked out in the end. So all's well that ends well. So I'm feeling, yeah, I'm really happy about the result from this week's learning, and there's been a lot of like mind blown moments, so that's great, and I look forward to another week of learning. So I'll see you guys on next Monday probably. Have a good one. Camel out.